Imagine a multi-million-dollar luxury hotel going up on a California coastline. I mean, we are talking massive cranes dominating the sky, structural steel just being pounded into the ground.
Right, the really heavy, disruptive stuff.
Exactly. A massive four-story footprint reshaping the waterfront. But now, imagine that just down the street from this huge, corporate construction site, the locals are gathering at a museum to hold a sea lion barking contest.
It sounds like a total contradiction. I mean, usually when that level of heavy development rolls into a coastal town, the eccentric, hyper-local culture just gets quietly paved over.
Right, it just vanishes. Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we are looking at how one community is doing what honestly seems impossible. They are executing a massive urban redevelopment without destroying their original soul.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating case study we have in front of us.
It really is. We are using a hyper-local July 2026 community briefing from Channel Islands Harbor in Oxnard, California, as our lens for this. And for you listening, whether you are, dealing with gentrification in your own neighborhood, or maybe you're prepping for a city council meeting, or just curious about how cities evolve, our mission today is to extract the universal lessons from this one specific harbor.
Because the dynamics at play in this July 2026 briefing, they really serve as a masterclass.
Oh, totally.
It is a blueprint of how a community can perfectly balance massive modern infrastructure development with ecological preservation and, like you mentioned, some highly unorthodox local traditions.
Yeah, we definitely need to talk about the barking contest. But before we can understand the culture or even the wildlife, we really have to look at the physical canvas being built, right?
The bricks and mortar.
Exactly. The bricks, the mortar, and the floating docks. Let's start with the most visible change happening there, which is Carl's Village. This new development is replacing the old Fisherman's Village, and they have a major groundbreaking scheduled for mid-August 2026, August 15th specifically.
And this is designed around an eat, play, shop concept, right?
Yeah, waterfront restaurants, indoor markets, public spaces, all that sleek new stuff. But there is a detail in the briefing that really stands out to me. It's about a local donut shop called Spudnuts.
The nuts, yeah.
They are remaining open temporarily during the prep phase, and the developers have explicitly promised them a spot to return to once the new facilities are built.
Which is such a crucial piece of the puzzle. I mean, it goes entirely against traditional commercial real estate instinct.
Are so? Like, why wouldn't you want a popular donut shop?
Well, normally a developer tearing down an old waterfront wants a totally clean slate. They want to bring in, high-paying national chain tenants. A legacy mom-and-pop donut shop usually just doesn't fit that high-yield financial model.
So why do it? How does that work on a balance sheet? Why would a developer go out of their way to guarantee a spot for a small legacy business?
Because modern urban planners are really waking up to the concept of placemaking. They are treating Spudnuts not as a liability, but as a core cultural amenity.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, think about it. If you evict all the legacy businesses, you signal to the community that a hostile takeover is happening.
Right, it feels like an invasion.
Exactly. By integrating a beloved local staple into the new, shiny development, they preserve the community's emotional investment in the space. It signals continuity.
And that idea of signaling continuity, that actually brings me to a highly specific, almost microscopic detail from the construction site itself.
Oh, the fence.
Yes, the fence. The briefing notes that the developers didn't just, throw up a cheap chain link fence to secure the Carl's Village site.
Which is what you usually see everywhere.
Right. Instead, they installed a high-quality all-wood perimeter fence, and they specifically painted it green to give a nod to Ventura County's agricultural history.
That is, well, the psychology of urban construction barriers is actually heavily studied in my field.
Really? There's a psychology to fences.
Oh, absolutely. A chain link fence, especially if it has like barbed wire on top or that cheap torn fabric draped over it, it's considered hostile architecture.
It basically communicates keep out, or implies the area is dangerous now.
Yes, and that induces ambient anxiety in a community. It makes residents feel like their neighborhood is a literal war zone for the 2 or 3 years it takes to build.
Wow, never thought about it like that.
But a painted wooden fence that intentionally references local history, that does the exact opposite.
I look at it like a beautifully cut movie trailer, or maybe like good bedside manner in medicine.
Bedside manner is a great way to put it.
Right, because the surgery, the redevelopment, it is going to be invasive, it'll be loud and disruptive. But good bedside manner, like the intentional aesthetic of this green fence, it keeps the patient calm.
It does.
It tells the community, we care about what you have to look at today, not just what we were going to sell you tomorrow.
That is an excellent way to frame it. And that level of strategic friction reduction is so necessary here because the scale of the construction is enormous. I mean, we haven't even touched on the Hyatt House development yet.
Oh, yeah, the Hyatt. This is a massive shift for the harbor. It's a 210-room, 4-story all-suite hotel.
That is a huge footprint.
Yeah, and heavy equipment is already operating right near the marina entrances. But the thing is, they aren't just building a closed-off fortress of hotel rooms. The plan includes a rooftop bar and a publicly accessible plaza.
And that is key. Integrating a public plaza changes the entire function of the hotel. It transforms what would be a private commercial enterprise into a year-round economic destination that the locals can actually use. However, that introduces a pretty significant economic paradox, particularly when we look at the broader infrastructure updates happening at the same time.
Yeah, let's lay out those infrastructure updates for the listener.
Yeah.
Along with the Hyatt, the harbor is completely modernizing its foundational boating infrastructure.
Right, the docks.
Exactly. The floating docks along Peninsula Road are being entirely replaced with modern systems. And this follows similar massive updates that already happened at Bahia Marina and Safe Harbor Anacapa Marina.
It's a total overhaul.
It really is.
Yeah.
On top of that, the old Harbor Administration building has been demolished. Structural steel is going in. They have the foundation set for December 2026, and they expect a brand new facility to open around 2028.
Which brings us back to that paradox. When a city or a developer sinks millions of dollars into new suites, public plazas, administration buildings, and totally modernized floating dock systems.
The instinct is to monetize everything.
Exactly. The immediate instinct is to monetize every single square inch of the property to recoup those costs.
But, and this is wild, according to the source material, the newly repaved parking lots along Harbor Boulevard remain absolutely free.
Yep.
How does a city financially manage to keep parking free while building a multi-million-dollar luxury hotel and upgrading entire marinas?
It requires a really disciplined long-term economic vision. Monetizing the asphalt, charging for parking, is a short-term cash grab that almost always kills local accessibility.
Because people just won't pay it.
Right. If it costs $20 just to park, the everyday resident stops visiting the harbor for a quick walk or to just grab a coffee. The local businesses start to suffer, and the area devolves into this exclusive zone only accessible to wealthy tourists staying at the Hyatt.
Wow, yeah. So by subsidizing the free parking, the Harbor Administration ensures that the economic ecosystem remains fueled by local daily foot traffic.
Exactly. They are essentially viewing free parking as an investment in the survival of their own local businesses.
That makes so much sense. And speaking of the infrastructure, I want to clarify why replacing those floating docks matters so much. Upgrading the systems at Peninsula Road isn't just about making them look pretty, is it?
No, not at all. Older fixed docks or even outdated floating systems, they eventually become major hazards.
How so?
Well, they degrade, they can leach older toxic materials into the water, and they really struggle to adapt to varying vessel sizes or, changing tidal patterns.
Oh, right.
Modern floating dock systems are engineered to rise and fall seamlessly with the tides. That protects the boats, obviously, but it also protects the underlying marine environment. It is a necessary modernization to ensure the harbor functions as a safe, active boating hub for the next 50 years.
Which brings up a really critical question. We have cranes in the sky. We have structural steel beams being driven into the ground for the new administration building. We have a 210-room hotel going up, and old marinas being literally ripped out and replaced.
Lots of noise, lots of vibration.
Right. With all that heavy machinery vibrating the ground and churning up the water, how does the local ecosystem survive? It seems entirely counterintuitive that a bustling construction zone wouldn't just turn the water into a dead zone and push the wildlife entirely out.
You would certainly expect the environmental update in a briefing like this to just be a depressing list of displaced species.
Exactly.
Because heavy construction creates immense noise pollution and physical disruption. But the reality in Channel Islands Harbor right now is the exact opposite.
It's crazy.
It really is. It presents this fascinating case study in how human infrastructure and marine conservation can actively coexist.
Yeah, because the briefing details a white sea bass grow-out program that is just staggering in its scale. They recently released 13,000 juvenile white sea bass into the wild.
13,000.
And they didn't just catch and release them. These fish were raised to about 9 to 10 inches in length inside protected net pens located right there within the harbor.
Yeah, this is a huge collaborative effort involving the Hub's SeaWorld Institute and a massive network of local volunteers. And it is highly, highly effective.
Effective is almost an understatement. This program has released over 3 million white sea bass into California waters over its lifetime.
It's incredible.
3 million. From a harbor that is actively under heavy construction. I have to push back here, though. What are the specific biological or physical reasons that a commercial harbor makes a good nursery for juvenile sea bass? Why not just, raise them out in the open ocean?
Well, because the open ocean is incredibly volatile. If you place net pens out in the open water, those juvenile fish are subjected to violent currents, massive temperature swings, and just a constant barrage of natural predators.
Oh, so they just get eaten or swept away.
Exactly. But a man-made commercial harbor, by its very design, features breakwaters that calm the water.
Right.
It creates a highly stable, sheltered microenvironment. The infrastructure of the harbor functions as a literal physical shield, providing a safe haven where volunteers can safely manage the net pens and monitor the controlled feeding of the sea bass until they are large enough to actually survive in the wild.
So the human engineering that makes the harbor safe for a Hyatt house and modern floating docks is the exact same engineering that makes it a perfect ecological incubator for 13,000 delicate fish.
Yes. That is the symbiotic relationship at play here.
Wow. And it isn't just the physical geography either, it's the human element. The briefing highlights organizations like Real Guppy Outdoors, which operates right in the middle of this development zone.
And their location is highly intentional. They are currently situated right at the corner of Channel Islands Boulevard and Victoria Avenue.
Which puts a nonprofit dedicated to youth ocean education right inside the prime real estate slated for the future Carl's Village redevelopment.
Right. Consider the alternative. A developer could easily push a small nonprofit off that valuable commercial footprint to make room for retail.
Happens all the time.
All the time. But by keeping them embedded in the commercial zone, the harbor is actively training the next generation to respect the environment that the harbor actually relies on.
Yeah, the briefing mentions Real Guppy Outdoors is hosting free youth fishing days at Hunamy Pier. And they run these highly localized rod building workshops taught by a community figure just known as Uncle Dave.
Uncle Dave, yeah.
Having Uncle Dave teaching rod building in the shadow of massive construction cranes is such a brilliant juxtaposition.
It really grounds the whole project.
And the results of this grassroots stewardship are visible to anyone just walking by. Amidst the newly paved free parking lots at the end of Harbor Boulevard, the briefing notes there is a thriving population of newborn sea lions.
Yeah, and the documentation points out that some of these newborn sea lions are so small they could fit in a bread box.
A bread box. I mean, visitors can utilize that free parking we talked about, walk down the modernized docks, look at these tiny sea lions, and take in a clear view of the Anacapa Island Arch. It really proves that conservation doesn't always require completely fencing nature off from humanity.
Exactly.
Right.
And that is actually the logical bridge to the culture of this community.
How do you mean?
Well, the ecological health of the harbor is the exact reason the local culture is thriving. People want to gather, eat, and celebrate in a living, breathing ecosystem. Nobody wants to spend their weekend at a sterile, dead industrial port.
That's a great point. Which brings us to the pulse of the harbor. The food, the culture, and how the community actually lives in this space. Because the contrast here is what makes it so fascinating to me.
Oh, for sure.
On one hand, you have highly produced commercial entertainment moving in. The Starlight Boat has launched a Friday night Viva Las Vegas cruise for the summer of 2026.
Right, and it is a premium experience. Tickets are $100 plus an 18% service fee.
A very real reminder of modern entertainment costs right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for that ticket, you do get a taco and nacho bar, and you gain access to the Lady Luck Casino on board.
Yeah.
They offer craps and Power Play 21, though the briefing explicitly note there is no live gaming.
So you were throwing dice for prizes, not actual cash.
Right, no cash. Add in a massive 100-inch music video screen, and it is a slick, heavily produced night out on the water.
But that slick commercialization is perfectly balanced by what is happening on the exact same waterfront every single weekend.
You mean the farmer's market?
Exactly. The Sunday Farmers Market at Marine Emporium Landing.
And this isn't just a place to buy, artisanal soap or organic carrots. It is a direct reflection of the working harbor. You can walk right down to the commercial fishing docks and buy fresh sea urchin and box crab directly off the boats from the local fishermen.
Which is huge. That direct-to-consumer pipeline is an essential economic mechanism.
because it removes the middleman.
Exactly. It removes middleman entirely. The dollars spent by locals and tourists go directly into the hands of the fishermen who maintain the fleet. It keeps the local economy truly local rather than filtering those profits through out-of-town corporate distributors.
And you see that freshness reflected in the broader culinary scene, too. The briefing specifically highlights the fish tacos at Sea Fresh and Fisherman's Catch, noting that the new general manager at Fisherman's Catch, Julio, is actively making these mouth-watering additions to the menu.
Shout out to Julio.
Right. You also have fine dining options like moqueca for Brazilian cuisine and anaba for sushi.
The culinary diversity is definitely strong, but I would argue the true cultural glue of a community undergoing massive redevelopment is found in its shared rituals and events.
Oh, absolutely. The summer concerts by the sea at Harborview Park are a perfect example of that.
Yeah, free admission, right.
Totally free. Locals bring lawn chairs and listen to tribute bands with incredibly specific names. Like, there's the Tom Petty tribute band Heartbreak Over Petty, or the cover band 80s Invasion.
I love those names.
It is pure, wholesome community connection. But that actually brings us to my absolute favorite detail from this entire deep dive. The thing that proves this town is fiercely protecting its identity amidst all the new sweets and steel beams.
You're talking about the Chowder Fest.
Yes, the Maritime Museum's 7th annual Chowder Fest on September 18th.
It's a classic event.
It is. You have 20 local restaurants competing for the title of Best Chowder, with $45 presale tickets. It's a great event. But the new edition of the festival this year is what gets me. It's the first ever Channel Islands Sea Lion Barking Contest, hosted by Captain Dave of Channel Islands Marine Safari Adventures.
A sea lion embarking contest is wonderfully eccentric.
It is. You have a massive, multi-million-dollar luxury hotel going up just down the street, and the locals are gathering at the museum to bark like sea lions at a guy named Captain Dave. I mean, why? Why does a community invent something so delightfully weird during a period of intense modernization?
Because eccentricity actually functions as a cultural defense mechanism against gentrification.
Wait, really? A defense mechanism?
Yes, think about it. When a beloved area like Fisherman's Village is torn down to build Carl's Village, it is very easy for a community to feel profound anxiety, to feel like their hometown is being sanitized for wealthy outsiders.
Right, they worry the harbor is going to become just another generic, sterile corporate plaza.
Precisely. So hyper-local, slightly absurd traditions, like a sea lion barking contest or that Sunday sunset sailing tradition they call Wet Wednesday, they act as a flag in the ground.
I see.
They reassure the locals that while the buildings are changing, the shared humor, the rituals, and the people remain exactly the same. It is the perfect antidote to corporate sterility.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Let's synthesize the lessons from Oxnard. Channel Islands Harbor isn't just pouring concrete and erecting hotels. They're actively curating a complex ecosystem.
They are proving that the traditional urban planning binary, the idea that you must choose between sleek modernization and eccentric local charm, is entirely false.
Right. By balancing high-end, heavy-duty developments like the Hyatt House and the modernized Peninsula Road floating docks with grassroots ecology like the 3 million white sea bass program and real guppy outdoor.
And maintaining the local culture.
Yes. And maintaining a hyper-local culture anchored by direct-to-consumer farmers markets and sea lion barking contests. They have basically written a highly effective blueprint for modern coastal living.
And honestly, wherever you live, your neighborhood is likely facing some form of development or gentrification right now.
Almost certainly.
This deep dive serves as a reminder that progress doesn't require erasing a community's identity. When done with intentionality and strategic friction reduction, like painting a construction fence green to honor agricultural history or using a commercial harbor as a biological incubator progress, can actually enhance and protect the very things that made a place special to begin with.
It is entirely possible to renovate the historic house while the family is still happily living in it, and somehow adopt a bunch of bread box-sized sea lions at the exact same time.
Exactly.
It requires vision, it requires compromise, and it clearly requires a little bit of weirdness. Which leaves us with a final thought for you to ponder. If your own town or neighborhood were undergoing a massive multi-million-dollar redevelopment tomorrow, what is the one delightfully eccentric, hyperlocal tradition you would invent to ensure your community keeps its original soul?
Would it be a barking contest, a specific culinary festival, or something entirely unique to your street? I mean, it is a question every growing community needs to ask itself before the cranes arrive.
Definitely something to mull over the next time you see a construction barrier go up in your neighborhood. Thank you for joining us as we unpack this incredible blueprint for revitalization. Keep questioning the binaries, keep looking for the underlying mechanisms of change, and keep learning. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.